Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about multiculturalism and why we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater on this subject. So let's go. Okay, so with the current influx of crazy amounts of illegal immigrations and the effect that's had on most Western countries, I think a lot of people are overly attacking multiculturalism. And because we live in such extreme times in terms of people love to take extreme views, I think because the mainstream idea from the agenda is that multiculturalism is amazing, there's nothing wrong with it, you get people taking the absolute opposite stance of kick everybody out who's not British or American or whatever it is, and multiculturalism can never work, and that is all bad. But my opinion is that the truth is generally more towards the centre, and that's the opinion that I'm going to give, and one that, in my opinion, makes far more sense than either of those views. And that my general view is that most countries should be homogenous to their own people. For example, if I am in Britain, I want to see mostly British people. If I go on holiday to Japan, I want to see Japanese people. If I go on holiday to Nigeria, or parts of Africa, I want to see African people. If I go to India, I want to see mostly Indian people. So that's just part of how I generally believe the world should be. And that there should be strong borders, and that people who want to come into said countries should do it legally. And there's nothing wrong with that. And what I completely disagree with is the just open borders, illegal immigration, because it's just ridiculous. You see, just letting in any random amount of people, especially from the third world, it makes absolutely zero sense. And obviously the reason it's going on is because people are making lots of money from it and gaining lots of power. So you have the more capitalist side who are trafficking people and kids, or businesses who can make loads of money from cheap labour. And then you also have the leftist side who use them as pawns and people to gain future votes, because they can promise them certain things that if they promise the natives who are living at a higher standard, they're going to say, we don't care about that. But if you promise people from the third world lesser things, they'll be more likely to be happy with those things. Now, when we come on to the actual subject of can different cultures get along together, and the general feeling now between a lot of people on the right seem to be saying, no, multiculturalism can't work. But I disagree with that. Multiculturalism can work under a certain set of circumstances, and there's certain things that can't work. So, for example, in the society that I grew up in was multicultural to some extent, in that I grew up just outside of London or in London, and there is a lot of different cultures, but all the cultures respected each other and respected the fact that this is Britain and you must join in the British culture and go along with British values. And all the young people I grew up who are non-British, they all did that, and they were all my friends, and you didn't see much difference between us culturally. And I believe multiculturalism did work because everybody got along, there was no real problems. But the 2 or 3 problems I see that causes multiculturalism to not work is, number one, with this growing Marxist or cultural Marxist woke agenda. You cannot have multiculturalism where you invite all people from over the world and then you tell them that the native British people are racist, evil, they've got a history of evil. So when that's happening and people are being brainwashed to hate the natives or hate each other, it's never going to work. So with cultural Marxism, it cannot work. And also with Islam, it cannot really work because Islam is similar to Christianity in a sense that they always want to overtake and spread their word and turn everybody into their religion. You know, the Christians believe people must be saved. The Muslims believe in a global caliphate and that everybody must become a Muslim. So wherever they go, they try and take over. And when you have people doing that, you see with Islam, wherever it goes, there's always trouble that follows because they're always trying to overtake. Now, the Muslims who don't want to do that, as a lot of the Muslims I grew up with, that's fine. If Muslims who are here and they accept that this is a Christian British country, then that's all good. There's no real problem with them being here. But the problems are the ones with the Muslims who believe in Sharia law and that Islam is the way and that this country should be a Muslim country. That's where we're going to have problems. Just as if a bunch of Christians went to Pakistan and started saying to the Muslims, Islam's a load of rubbish, you need Christianity, Christians need to take over, and they went around, you know, promoting Christianity, attacking Islam, saying, oh, Islam's not the answer, blah, 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 there's going to be problems. Okay, and the third problem is when you're just inviting people from the third world and you're not inviting immigration from qualified people or based on merit-based. And what happens is when you get third world people who don't have the same values, and then all of a sudden there's knife attacks and acid attacks and grooming gangs and degeneracy, people not leaving places tidy, it's litter everywhere. When you do that, it gives a bad name to the good legal migrants to the country. So when I grew up, it was all legal immigration on qualified people. So all the people you'd see out would just be regular British people. They would all be polite, well-mannered, do good jobs. It was brilliant. But what people are fed up with now is we've opened the borders to loads and loads of third world migration. So you walk around London or certain parts of England now, and it's just a mess. And it's full of foreign people who are causing trouble. And you see on the news, on Twitter every day, there's stabbings, there's, as I said, acid attacks, samurai swords, massive knives. This is stuff that's not normal for British people. And not only that, is the far right people who will be against migration now, the good migrants who I grew up with, are getting tarnished with that brush. Whereas, as I say, the way I see it, we can have somewhat multiculturalism and different people getting together. As I say, I grew up with my best friend in school was from Hong Kong. A lot of our good friends were from Jamaica, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, all over the place, Korea. And we all got along as friends. And there was no problem. All the parents were good. Everybody was assimilated into society and everything worked. And you didn't have an agenda promoting division among different cultures and people. Whereas what goes on now, it cannot work. Multiculturalism cannot work in the current environment. So if you got rid of radical Islam, if you got rid of radical cultural Marxism and the woke agenda teaching people to hate one another, and if you got rid of open borders and third worlders coming in causing terror attacks, knife crime, acid crime, if you got all that and went back to the way it was when I was growing up, things could actually work. Guided by the spiritual father, we're all united in the spirit. That would work. But when we're divided by Satan, it's not going to work. So the reason I'm doing this video is just to give a more centered, sensible view on the subject, rather than people on the far left go, immigration's brilliant, open the borders, we can all get along, which is delusion. But then on the other side, you get the far right who are coming out now saying, shut the borders, don't let anyone in. If anybody's not 100% British, white, they should be kicked out. You know, you're going the other extreme. You need to come to the center, given the opinion that I gave. Okay, so that's my shared thoughts on the subject. If you like it, like the video. Comment below if you have any views, if you agree, you disagree, and subscribe for more. God bless everyone. Goodbye.